welcome to another episode of Cowboy Chats.
Cowboy Chats is a channel to keep the spirit of the American West alive. To talk to modern day cowboys, legendary cowboys, and anybody in between to keep the cowboy tradition and values and the Western way of life alive and well.
A lot of adventure. Lived a pretty full life.
See, back then,
I actually decided to come back. I was riding racehorses when I was 40, which would have been 87 something. Other than the Debbie's, they used to have a little series there.
God.
That's the only place. And I actually won the saddle riding bulls. My wife talked me into getting on a bareback horse to win the all-around saddle, and so I got on one right before I was going to Casper for the horse races. And ended up winning the all-around saddle.
Jeez. Did the roughies, did the broncs. And then you got into racehorses? So?
Yeah, I got really big into racehorses.
And you did that for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, on and off.
More money in that than chasing the buckles.
It wasn't at first, but it turned out to be a lot, you know. Yeah. Well, the thing about it is there was no really expenses on my part, because if they flew me to California or they flew me to Texas,
everything's paid for.
They paid for it. I mean, they paid for my room. If we went
Huge difference between rodeo and
they paid for it. I mean,
What? Just my own curiosity. What do you think was scarier, riding a bull or going 90 around a racetrack?
The racehorses was a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be more scared.
I mean, I wasn't scared, but I had more.
I'd be scared.
Yeah. But
I'd be scared of any of it until you do it and get used to it and understand it and know. But it'd still be, I mean, it's like jousting. I mean, I ain't gonna say I wasn't scared in the beginning, but over time, you're not. But that's only because, you minimize the risk.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with whatever work and training you put into it. You know, it's like bull riding. I don't think after a while you're really scared to ride a bull.
No.
But and it's not, in my opinion, I don't think anybody that does it and does anything for a long time or becomes a world champion does it for a adrenaline rush or for any other purpose than it's what they love and they enjoy doing it.
I kind of tended to get because I did it for the rush, and there's no better rush than either riding a bull or a really fast horse. I mean, it's dang sure. I didn't really. The racehorse wasn't my life, so I went into that because I was still doing cowboy shit. Mm-hmm. And but that rush of them horses leaving the gates, and I mean, when you're on a fast quarter horse, and I had a couple wild ones that I was a little bit nervous about. I had a horse that won about $150,000, and the first two times I rode him, the first time I rode him, he bucked. I mean, flat bucked. The second time I rode him, and I was beating him. I was winning by 5 lengths, and he blew up about 50 yards from the finish line. I stayed on him that time. First time I didn't stay on him. But then he come back and won the Utah Classic, which is a $200,000 fraternity. Broke the track record, or broke the world record. So I mean, he was a little scary. I mean, because you didn't know when he was going to blow up. And I mean, there wasn't anything faster. He was kind of weird though, because it felt to me like he just ran scared, but he was so fast.
Yeah.
So the fastest horse I ever rode, but you kind of took something. I wasn't really going to whip him. I didn't absolutely have to, because the one time I did, there was the second time I rode him, and he dang sure bucked.
Came apart, yeah.
And I said I was winning the race, and I don't know why I decided to whip him, because if I'd have just left him alone, he would have been fine. But yeah, I had a few of them that were pretty crazy. Matter of fact, I had a lot of them that were just flat crazy.
Yeah.
But I kind of learned that they're not saddle horses.
Well, I
just want them fast.
I was say you get in the racehorse world, I mean, they're not really concerned with them being
They're not
broke to ride, right?
They're not.
They just want point and shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as it'll load in the gate and it'll pass around this thing, that's good enough.
Yeah.
So there ain't a whole lot of like side pass, stop, roll back. You know,
and that's like I tell you, because now I'm really into the hackamores and the snaffle bits. But I've ruined more snaffle bit horses racing, and I've learned kind of a new trick because a lot of these horses that we got here are ex-race horses or should have been race horses. But I found that I go to putting a hackamore on them, and I can get them backed off that bit, and then gradually I can get them softened up, and then maybe go, maybe not a. Well, I've done a couple. I've broke a couple for 2 reins in a 2 rein with a spade. My daughter's really good barrel horse. He passed away a couple of years ago, but before her other good horse got hurt, and I just did Cowboy up in a spade. I'd be damned if she didn't go. She needed a horse, and I'd take him. Be damned if she didn't end up when he crippled himself. She was 7th in the wilderness circuit. She was winning $20,000-$25,000 a year. He was a super horse, but he was so fast. I could see him probably. The one foot I didn't like the confirmation on, and every time he ran, I was kind of like, God, no, just please don't. And he finally bought a tendon, and it got so bad we just had to put him down. He didn't go on. I mean, we tried stem cells, and
all of it. Well,
and he was good. She's got a couple of colts now. My wife's got a young horse, and he's going to be good too.
Nice.
Yeah, he's going to be good. He's a little bronky. He will buck. So, but my daughter's been riding him here the last couple of months, and she's been doing quite well on him. If we can keep him sound by next year, she'll be rolling on him.
I've never been on any racehorses, but I've had a few that were off the track. Because back in the day, you could get those racehorses off. And all those out in California for like $100. And just drive through the parking lot, and they'd probably give them to you.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, let's go get them. We got them, and I got on one, and we're going down the, whatever you call it, the old ditch full of water.
Canal,
yeah. We're running down the road that's next to the canal. And I didn't know, and you tell me this is right or wrong, but the more you would pull on him to stop, the faster he would run.
Yeah.
No one told us that, and we'd never been on him, so I'm going 100 miles an hour down the side of that thing, and I'm like, oh Lord. So then I wanted to jump off, but I was caught on him, like I couldn't get my foot out to get out, and it was like Footloose when he's trying to jump off the tractor, but he can't.
Yeah.
So then I stayed on, and then everybody thought I was brave. Like, oh, he stayed on. I'm like, oh no, I wanted to jump off like 3 miles. And we were coming to the highway, and I'm like, I'm gonna die if this horse doesn't stop. And finally, I just
got the reins,
dropped everything. Hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's where I was saying. More snaffle bit horses, because if they weren't pulling on the bit, I'd damn sure reach and gut them and make them.
So that's a true thing, though. Like they, to go more, than you get
when you're riding. What I learned when I was riding thoroughbreds, because I learned for some really good guys. Okay, say you're running a mile.
Yeah.
First, I'd say half mile. You're just kind of loping.
Oh, okay.
And trying to find where you're going to be position and stuff.
Right.
But about half a mile, you still got about a half mile left to go. All you got to do is just reach and grab your reins a little bit. They'll kind of start speeding up. The good horses, they'll kind of start speeding up. And then when you go 3/8, you grab a little more. By the time you get to the straightaway, just grab a little bit more and maybe whip them and just reach and grab them right out of the gate. Let them get.
Because you ain't got because you ain't gonna run far enough to.
Yeah, you're only going 300.
Yeah.
300 to 440 yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, you automatically pick them up the first or second jump out of the gate.
Right. Yeah.
But like when you go to ride, that was the thrill to me when I did ride thoroughbreds. Is I'd have one that would just stay kind of in the middle of the pack and just stay kind of in the middle of the pack. And when I got to the 3/8 pole or the half pole, these sometimes would come run them. And that to me that was thrilling. But I had a lot more strategy. You're always kind of. I got to learn. I had a clock in my head. So I knew just how fast I was going every 3/8 of a mile. I mean, wanted to keep it right around 20. I mean, if some horses are a slower pace, well, you just kind of ease them up in there. You just had to have that guy, that kind of clock in your head. And I had an old boy down here, he run racers for a long time. He's the one that taught it to the trainer. In my head.
You do it long enough too. It's got to be frustrating when you know you're on a horse that can't touch. It's not going to compete with the other ones.
Yeah, but
you already know.
Well, and that's the thing is,
it's not always every horse has a shot.
Well, they kind of handicap them in a way. Like they have what they call claiming races, and I mean, he'll go anywhere from 25.
So when you get to the higher end races, then those horses are more pretty
stake horses.
Pretty equal.
Yeah, they're stake horses.
Okay.
And they kind of
claimers are the ones where you're like, maybe not.
Yeah, the claimers, they're just. But there's probably more of them kind of horses than there are them really good.
Absolutely, right.
A lot more. Right. But they can still go make money.
They can make you money, right?
They can make you money, but when you get to the top end, and then it's. I mean, like you look at the Kentucky Derby, even the best horse don't always win.
No, true.
And same with the quarter horses, Quite a few races on a mare. She wasn't the fastest one, but I won a couple of futurities on her in a derby. I mean, I went to the Champion Challenge on her. I won the Challenge Derby up here in Evanston. We got to go to San Antonio. I qualified another one that was a claiming horse and won it in San Antonio. Way outmatched. Because there were some of the best quarter horses in the nation there. She probably made over 100,000, and she was a nice mare, but she wasn't that caliber,
See, to me, I would think if I'm out there racing, the scariest would be when it's all muddy. It's like muddy and wet. Or is that not?
Not really.
Or like running on grass or running on.
I only ever run on grass once, so I can't really say a whole lot about that. I think I had a thoroughbred ride style that would have worked on grass. We just don't have it around here. And I wanted to stay around here. I just didn't want to go. I mean, I tried Tucson one winter and hated it.
What do you think is the most dangerous footing? Dangerous.
I think, and most of the time.
Because you see them sometimes running them sloppy tracks and nobody misses a beat.
I've never, it depends on, like I was riding on these little racetracks around here. And if the racetrack was a good racetrack, mud never bothered you. I mean,
because you mud to good.
Well, yeah, and what I found is like some of these racetracks, the track's so hard, the horses break down, and that's where you're going to get hurt most of the time. Is when one snaps a leg, or they flip over in the gates. Which when I got so that if they flipped over in the gates, it was no big deal. I'd ride them to the very end and then just step out. Will throw me in front of them.
Well, yeah, of course.
So I had to crawl out in front of the gates, but I never really. I mean, I got beat up a little bit in there, but nothing serious.
Well, imagine being in the gates. Probably the scariest place to be. Same as when you're climbing on a bull in the chute.
Yeah.
In the chute's the best place to be. Like in the chute's where you get hurt and. Imagines where you get hurt.
Well, and what I learned is you just have to be patient. I mean, even if they do tip over, just be as calm as you can. If they tip over, you just step off them, get back on them, and go. A lot of the quarter horses they tie in so they can't flip over. I mean, I've had them the first time I put them in the gates, get on their back.
Oh, sure.
This is Colts, very first time.
I was down at his place and he had a gate there, and that was kind of his. He would take a lot of those horses
that were spoiled or
bad with gates and fix them.
Yeah,
get them where they would do it and go in the gate. And
we spent a lot.
Kind of cool to watch, but
we spent a lot of time schooling our horses. A lot. I mean, matter of fact, we go stand them in the gates before every race. Like they say they run on Saturday, we stand them on Tuesday, and then it was just walk them out and then go lope them. But we spent a lot of time, especially up at the quarter horse. Thoroughbreds not so much, but the quarter horses, it was.
It seems if you have a quieter horse in there, that's your advantage. There is an advantage to have a horse that'll go in, be quiet, and take off.
Yeah, but be ready.
Yeah. Well, right, that's what I mean. But
yeah,
because it seems like whenever I watch any horse racing, the horse that's fussing around in the gates rarely wins.
Like, yeah, because he usually gets left.
Right, that's what I mean.
He'll usually get left. But like I said, we spent a lot of time in the gates, just standing them. Last 10 years, I very seldom galloped very many. I galloped some, but it was usually because I had my futurity colts or my colts that I'm riding that weekend. I needed to go stand in the gates, and then I'd gallop them. But if we once or twice a week in the mornings and gallop them.
Like, what are you thinking when you're gonna
ride race
a horse? Yeah, you're gonna.
I had none at all.
Just got on and ran. How about riding bulls? Something. Like a lot of guys will have a routine or a.
I had my own routine. It was a habit,
whatever. But
I was very. I was very laid back because I was joking about getting on bulls. I mean, it was just. Yeah, like the race horses. I'd already done my homework with horses. I already knew most of the horses, other than maybe the first time they ran, but I still knew them pretty dang well. And every once in a while, I'd get on something I'd never been on that really didn't bother me because I felt like I had a pretty good gift on figuring a horse out. On what he needed, if he needed whip, if he didn't need whip, if he just needed to sit on him, or if you need when you warmed him up. You just jogged him. I mean, the horse I won on in San Antonio, that challenge deal, I never got him off a jog to warm him up, stick him in the gates. He was a little bit sore on a leg, but you jogged him, and it wasn't. He just had scar tissue, basically. I mean, he wasn't sore, but you just put him on a jog, and I used to do that a lot. Used to have and I'd just go warm them up. It just depended on how they were. Some of them I'd have to wake up, Some of them, no. I mean, it just depended on the horse. And I felt like at the time, especially the last 10 years, I just got pretty good about, I could kind of tell what this different horse needed. Mm-hmm. And I win, but he'd run his best, And that's all I cared about. I mean, I was very competitive. Okay, if I didn't win a race, if I could run third instead of fourth, I tried everything I had to at least run third.
Amen. Yep. If you could go back.
Like, subscribe so you can catch all the videos we got coming up. And we'll see you down the trail. Keep your guns oiled, powder dry.